Welcome to ACCQ, Continuing Professional Education. We're going to talk about investment in property for this session. And the lesson will about to begin. We're studying Module 1, but how do we define an investment property? Marami tayong naririnig, investment, mga properties. Pero ano ba talaga yung investment property under PAS or Philippine Accounting Standard 40? So yung formal definition niya, is an investment property is defined as a property, open close parenthesis, land or building or part of a building or both, held by an owner or by a lessee under a finance lease to earn rentals or for capital appreciation or both. So in other words, itong property na to is either land or a building. So hindi pwede yung mga yung mga movable property. No, itong immovable property or yung land or building, ito yung pag-aari ng ng landlord, no? So either for capital appreciation or pwede niyang iparenta. Let's go on. In other words, only land and building can be qualified as an investment property. Yung kakasabi ko lang, no? An equipment or movable, kakasabi lang eh. Ito naman, dito tayo sa pangatlo. An investment, sige, tuloy na rin natin. An equipment or movable property cannot qualify as investment property. So maliwanag yun. Hindi pwede yung equipment or movable property. Only yung yung fixed asset lang, no? Like building or a land. An investment property is not held. Letter A, for use in the production or supply of goods or services or for administrative purposes. So kung itong property na to, which dito sila nag-o-office dun mismo sa property na to, then it is not this is not investment in property, no? So or otherwise ginagamit nila sa production, let's say services, let's say merong business doon na dun sila nag-ooperate ng business, no? Whatever the services may be, no? Let's say meron silang spa, beauty parlor, gym, or whatever, no? So this is not in accordance with the definition dun sa investment in property. And next one is for sale in the ordinary course of business. So hindi rin siya kasama dun sa definition under yung sa investment property if it's done in the ordinary sale of business. Halimbawa, yung mga condominium, no? So binibenta nila yun. So it's in the ordinary course of business. Examples of investment property are land held for long-term capital appreciation. Yan. So ito yung kumbaga wala pa silang masyadong yung mga plano doon, no? Basta nandun lang yun, yung land na yun, no? Okay, so for capital appreciation, bumili yung owner ng land and then it's for parang pinano niya, parang investment, no? Parang in the future pwede niyang ibenta yun as pagka nag-appreciate na yung value ng property. And the next one is land held for currently undetermined use. So kung pag wala pa silang plano doon, wala pa silang masyadong hindi pa concrete yung plano nila, whether lalagyan nila ng service yun or or meron silang iba pang mga plans other than putting up a service there, or sila mismo yung mag-occupy doon, then it is considered as yung investment in property because this is also for capital appreciation. Building owned by the reporting entity leased out under an operating lease. So halimbawa, itong building na ito, no, merong building na pag-aari ng isang entity and pinapalis niya dun sa mga let's say merong ibang business, no? So this is also considered as investment in property or investment property. The next one is building that is vacant but is held to be leased out under an operating lease. Yeah, so that's the next one. And the last one is property that is being constructed or developed for future as in investment property. So ito yung mga building, yung mga pinapatayo yung building. No, so being constructed, no, parang idini-develop for future investment property. Of course, also for capital appreciation. Now, before moving forward, I would like to greet ito yung mga nagpapabati, no, kasi baka makalimutan natin mamaya. So, nagpapa-shoutout sila. Si Ayaka, Josephine, Romary, Irus Jake, Danica, Jana Regina. Medyo marami-rami ito, no? Ayaka, Romary, siya na naman. Carol, Eranio, Andre Nino. Okay. Ito pa. Si Carl. Si Kyle. Okay. So, yan. So, if you want na gusto nyo magpa-shoutout rin, no? So, just give me a comment lang below. No? Okay. So, moving forward. Okay. Paano naman kung yung property is partly investment and partly owner-occupied? So, ito yung treatment niyan. So, this includes a portion that is held to earn rentals for capital appreciation, and another portion that is held for manufacturing or administrative purposes. So, in other words, dun sa property, let's say sa building, merong portion dun na pinaparentahan. Let's say, for rentals, no? Para of course, for their income, no? Or yung capital appreciation, and yung other portion naman doon naman sa manufacturing nung kanilang let's say sa business, no, in the normal course of business. So paano yung treatment niyan? So ito yung tinatawag na partly investment and partly owner occupied. So if these portions could be sold or leased out separately, an entity shall account the portions separately as investment property and owner-occupied property. So, pwedeng i-segregate yun, no? Meron siyang separate reporting. So, if portions could not be sold separately, the property is investment property. If it's insignificant, yung portion na held for manufacturing or for administrative purposes. Another thing is when auxiliary services are provided by the entity to the occupants of the property, and these services are relatively insignificant component of the arrangement, the property is treated as investment property. So, example dito, let's say an owner of an office building, so nag-provide siya ng security services and nung maintenance para dun sa mga tenants nung building niya. So these are just insignificant portion dun sa transaction. So it is still considered as an investment property. So the building being leased out as offices is investment property. However, if a significant component of the arrangement, the property is treated as owner-occupied property. So kung significant ro yan, a good example of that, let's say sa hotel. So yung entity yung nagmamanage, owns and manages a hotel, services provided to guests, these are significant portions, and therefore it is owner-occupied property, because the services being rendered, let's say sa hotel, is significant. Now, another feature of this investment property is the property leased to an affiliate, yung bang parent and subsidiary. From the perspective of the individual entity that owns it, the property leased to another subsidiary or its parent is considered as an investment property. So kumbaga parang ano yun, parang they are treated as separate business, no? Whether pinalis nung subsidiary sa kanyang parent, or yung parent pinalis dun sa subsidiary, then it is treated as an investment property. However, on the perspective of the group, let's say yung group of companies kasama na yung subsidiary and parent, no? For consolidated financial statement purposes, then it is treated as owner-occupied property. Kasi ini-eliminate yung mga intercompany transactions sa consolidated financial statements. So let's proceed now dito sa recognition of the investment property. So investment property shall be recognized as an asset when it is probable that future economic benefits would flow to the company that are associated with the investment property. So parang ito yung definition ng asset. The next is the cost of the investment can be measured reliably. So these are the initial measurement of investment property. First bullet is an investment property shall be measured initially at cost, kasama yung transaction cost, which are directly attributable doon sa investment of the property. The cost of a purchase investment property comprises the purchase price and any directly attributable costs that are associated dun sa property, dun sa pagpapaayos, pagpapaganda, no? So kasama yung example, no? Example of yung of course yung pati yung facilitation nung asset, no? So example of this are professional fees for legal services, property transfer taxes, and yung other transaction costs. So kailangan bayad yung mga taxes, of course yung mga realty tax, no, mga amilyar. So kasama yon as part of the direct cost of the asset. Exclusions are startup cost unless necessary to bring the property to the condition necessary for its intended use. The next one is operating loss incurred before the investment property achieves the planned level of occupancy. And the last one is abnormal amount of wasted material, labor, or other resources incurred in constructing or developing the property. Now, yung subsequent measurement of an investment property, there are two. So, yung una, yung fair value method. So the asset will be measured at fair value. So any deviation dun sa or any fluctuation dun sa value ng property, yung subsequent na fluctuation, let's say nag-increase yung market value niya, then we will recognize a profit or a loss if bumagsak yung yung kanyang market value. Or yung sa cost method naman. Now, the investment property is carried at cost less any accumulated depreciation. So, ito yung carrying amount. And any accumulated impairment losses. So, we're going to solve mamaya yung mga problems regarding dito sa investment property. Okay, so let's take up this example. An entity ventured into construction of a mega shopping mall in Southeast Asia, which is hyped as the largest shopping mall in Asia. The board of directors decided that instead of selling the shopping mall to a local investor, the entity would hold this property for purposes of earning rentals by leasing out space to the mall tenants. The construction of the shopping mall was completed and property was placed in service on January 1, 2020. The cost of the construction, so dito na nagsimula yung service niya magmula January 1. The cost of the construction of the mall was 100 million pesos. The useful life of the shopping mall is 10 years. And the residual value is 10 million. So i-minus natin yung residual value from the total cost of 100 million in order to get the depreciable amount. Pag kinuha natin yung depreciation mamaya. An independent valuation expert provided the following fair value at each subsequent year end. So December 31, 2020, after 1 year, it's 120 million pesos. So nag-increase by 20 million. And after a year, nag-increase ng another 5 million. And so December 31, 2022, nag-decrease from 2021 by 5 million. So unquestionably, the mega shopping mall shall be recognized as an investment property kasi pinapalis niya sa mga tenants ng shopping mall. The entity shall select either the cost model or the fair value model in measuring such investment property because the fair value of the investment property can be determined reliably. So unahin muna natin yung cost method. Okay, so journal entries to record the acquisition of the investment property or the asset. So debit investment property, that's 100 million pesos, yung kanyang cost. And credit cash for 100 million pesos. The next one is to record the subsequent annual depreciation. Okay, so by debiting depreciation expense for 9 million and credit accumulated depreciation for 9 million. So the computation here is as follows. So acquisition cost is 100 million pesos and the residual value is 10 million. So you have the depreciable amount of 90 million divided by 10 years and you will get the depreciation expense of 9 million. So this is for the cost model. So let's use another model. So this time yung fair value model. So the same illustration, the same problem. So journal entry on 2020, January 1, debit investment property for 100 million and credit cash for 100 million. So the same as yung sa cost model. And on the end of the year, December 31, debit investment property for 20 million and credit gain from change in fair value. So makikita natin dito also for 20 million. Bakit? Kasi dito sa example na to from dito sa from January 1 from 100 million naging 120 million on December 31. So ito kukunin natin yung fair value niya, yung latest which is December 31, 2020 of 120 million less yung acquisition cost na 100 million, so 20 million. So i-reflect natin yan instead of yung accumulated depreciation, using yung sa cost model. Now, on 2021, the following year, 1 year after, nag-increase na naman yung value nung investment, nung fair value. Okay, so debit investment property for 5 million and credit gain from change in fair value. So yung fair value niya on December 31, 2021 was 125 million. So ito yun, no? Okay, so i-reflect natin dito. So less yung carrying amount niya na yung dating fair value niya no December 31, 2020 na 120 million. So kunin natin difference. So that would be an increase in fair value in 2021. So that's why debit investment property for 5 million and credit gain from change in fair value also for 5 million. And the 1 year after, bumaba naman yung value from 125 million naging 115 million. So there is a 10 million loss or decrease in fair value. So debit loss from change in fair value for 10 million and credit investment property. So credit natin yung asset na investment property for 10 million. If you have any questions with regard to this particular topic, so you may write down your comments, and of course subscribe and share this information to your classmates or to your colleagues if you find this useful. And of course, if you have an idea of another topic that we can discuss, just write down your message there. Okay, so God bless, stay safe, and stay healthy.